Hey, so this is a video particularly focused at boxing fans because presumably non-boxing fans wouldn't really be interested. Um, I want to talk about the particular pound for pound list, and it's from Boxrec website. And the reason I want to discuss it is because it's perhaps the most unusual pound for pound list I've ever seen. There are complete anomalies in there that seem to be completely misplaced or just unusual. I'm not going to say it's a bad list. Excuse me. I'm not going to say it's a bad list because this is all down to opinion. And it's one of the fun things about rankings. It is entirely down to opinion, depending what your perspective is. They give a lengthy explanation for the ratings as they are. One of the things they stress is that fighters from the pre-war period, pre-World War II period, often having complete records, or even if their own records are complete, the records for their opponents are not, and therefore it could be misleading. Hence, old time fighters are at a disadvantage, as they put it. Unfortunately, I can't read from the list directly, so what I've had to do is take pictures just from the screen because the way this camera is, I have to speak with the whole screen up. I can't, as I used to be able to do, just read off another page, which is a pity, but that's the way it is. I actually came across this from doing research on the film Resurrecting the Champ, which is a story about a journalist who thinks he's found the great fighter Bob Satterfield living on the streets, starring Josh Hartnett and Samuel L. Jackson. It's a film I really want to see. I still haven't got around to seeing it because it's not a very widespread released film, but I'd really like to see it. And somehow doing research on that, I came across this list. So I'm going to just read the top 50, and I'll try to do this in reasonable time. Bear in mind, they have 551,000 results. Now, presumably, that's almost every professional boxer who's ever lived. It's a hell of a lot of results. And I don't know how on earth they're going to distinguish like the top, the bottom 10. I would imagine would be just as hard as the top 10 because with the bottom 10, bottom 100, you're going to have a lot of guys who started off who are clearly only going to have won a few fights, or I suppose that list will be reserved for guys who've lost every single fight. There you go. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to read quickly from the list, and I think you'll agree this is very unusual. Um, and I'll comment a bit about it afterwards. So this is their all-time pound for pound list. Number 1, Archie Moore. Number 2, Sugar Ray Robinson. Number 3, Muhammad Ali. Number 4, Joe Louis. Number 5, Floyd Mayweather Jr. Number 6, Harry Greb. Number 7, Carlos Monson. 8, Ezard Charles. 9, Dick Tiger. 10, Tony Canzoneri. 11, Sam Langford. 12, Carlos Ortiz. 13, Jimmy McLarnin. 14, Henry Armstrong. 15, Emil Griffith. Just to go to the next page. 16, Benny Leonard. 17, Young Corbett III. 18, Jose Napoles. 19, Jimmy Bivens. 20, Rocky Marciano. 21, Floyd Patterson. 22, Manny Pacquiao. 23, Mickey Walker. 24, Bernard Hopkins. 25, Marvin Hagler. 26, Joey Maxim. 27, Harry Wills. 28, Willie Pep. 29, Kid Gavilan. 30, Vladimir Klitschko. 31, Tommy Loughran. 32, Billy Conn. 33, Juan Manuel Marquez. 34, Bob Montgomery. 35, Maxie Rosenblum. 36, Gene Fulmer. 37, Max Schmeling. 38, Bobby Olson. 39, Jack Britton. 40, Ike Williams. 41, Larry Holmes. 42, Sammy Angot. 43, Gene Tooney. 44, Lou Ambers. 45 Joey Giardello, 46 Carmen Basilio, 47 Evander Holyfield, 48 Joe Gans, 49 Roy Jones Jr., 50, and I think this is pronounced Giulio Loi. He was an Italian active in the 1940s. Number 51, Lennox Lewis. Number 52, Julio Cesar Chavez. Number 53, Barney Ross. Number 54, Jack Johnson. 55, Roberto Duran. 56, Bob Foster. 57, Oscar de la Hoya. 58, John Henry Lewis. 59, Fred Apostoli. 60, Harold Johnson. And I think I'll go up to 70 here. 61, Joe Frazier. 62, Johnny Dundee. 63, Sugar Ray Leonard. 64, Luis Manuel Rodriguez. 65, Joe Brown. 66, Sandy Sadler. 67, Tommy Hearns. 68, Marcel Phil. 69, Holman Williams. 70, Lou Tendler. 71, Sonny Liston. 72, Eder Joffre. That's what I got up to. Obviously, it would take too long to read out top few hundred. Now, some of those names are genuinely surprising how far down the list they are. For example, Sugar Ray Leonard at number 63. I think they had Julio Cesar Chavez at 52. They had Roy Jones Jr. at 49. They all really surprised me, given the prestige all three of those fighters have. Archie Moore at number 1. If he'd been in the number 10, it wouldn't surprise me. But number 1, that's honestly the first time I've seen the Mongoose at number 1. Um, but looking at his record, it's maybe it's warranted. I mean, Archie Moore is an all-time great. I'm just a little surprised because I've never seen him in the number 1 position. I have seen usually the fighters I've seen at number 1 has been either Ali, Joe Louis, or Sugar Ray Robinson. Occasionally Henry Armstrong, and actually Henry Armstrong was a lot lower than expected as well. So it's a very unusual list. In a way, though, it is refreshing because it isn't predictable. And probably every one they've ranked there, they could have some justification for doing so. But, there's fighters that are hardly household names. And that is an interesting aspect of it. I mean, you have that Italian guy. I don't know if he's even particularly well known in Italy. Maybe, I don't know. Um, just have a look at that. Yeah, I mean, to have, where is he? Yeah, Giulio Loi at 50, above Lennox Lewis, above people like Jack Johnson. He must have been a hell of a fighter. In a way, it's refreshing because I like to see fighters who have great skill and could be seen as great fighters get recognition that they don't have in the popular imagination. That is refreshing, and I think it's very important. And the world of boxing, I guess, like every sport, isn't fair, and there are many great fighters who haven't really got the entire credit they've deserved. I was coming across a fighter earlier. Okay, maybe great wouldn't be the right word, but certainly above average. Darren Van Horn. Apparently, he won his first 38 pro fights. A caveat to that, of course, as well. Who did he fight? But I do think one of the things about boxing is the very simple concept: you win fights, you get the acclaim, doesn't stack up because a lot of different things matter. Who you fight, when you fight them, all this sort of thing. So you can have a guy who has, let's say, 100 fights, and let's say he wins 92 of them, loses 7 and draws 1. Um, he will only get credit or recognition if a significant number of those wins have been other notable fighters. But if they have been entirely unknown fighters, then he's not going to get credit for that achievement. And it is an achievement. A win is a win is a win. It's an achievement. But it's one of the things I sort of dislike, the fact that sometimes achievement isn't really recognized the way it should be in this sport. Um, Ali at number 4, I'm not really surprised by it. Ali's always in the top 5. Uh, Willie Pep, pretty low down. Jimmy Wild, extremely low down. Oh, and that's another list I want to talk about. Looking at the British list, again, there's names that I haven't even heard of, which admittedly does surprise me. So this is the British list. Top few aren't surprising, but after that gets quite unusual. 1, Lennox Lewis. 2, Ted Kid Lewis. 3, Jackie Patterson, higher than I expected. 4, Randy Turpin. 5, Freddie Welsh. 6, Benny Lynch. 7, Nazim Hamed. 8, Peter Kane. 9, John Conte. 10, Ernie Roderick. 11, Len Harvey. 12, Al Phillips. 13, I'll have to zoom up here. 13, Owen Moran. 14, Jock McAvoy. 15, Freddie Mills. 16, Tom Smith of Sunderland. Very impressive record if you check him out. 17, Jimmy Wild. So Tom Smith is above Jimmy Wild, but Tom Smith is hardly a household name. 18, Ned Tarleton. 19, Joe Calzaghe. 20, Dave Crowley. Definitely names there I wouldn't have thought would be even in the top 30, never mind 20. But each of these are taken on their own merit, and it's all academic. So check out the list. You can also specialize country by country, but it's a very, very interesting list. I don't entirely agree with it, but it is refreshing to see something new for boxing fans. So that is the Boxrec pound for pound all time list. You'll need to specify world and all time in the toolbox. Let me know your thoughts.